Hi, Ben here. I'm just going to go over this in this short video about the OOSD1 assignment where you're going to implement a zombie text adventure game. And there's a bunch of material that I provided. I went over this in the last lecture of last semester, and so hopefully most of you saw it then. But we'll just briefly now go in this video show how to download the material and get started with the Netbeans project that's provided, and then there's a front end that connects to your server implementation where you'll play the game, and I'll show you how to do that connection as well. So all the material is under learning materials in Blackboard obviously, and then there's a directory called assignment here, and we'll just click on that and you'll see that there's four chunks of material that you can download. Most of the first three are all zip files, whilst the last one is just a PDF. So the last one is actually the specification about what you're supposed to do in the assignment, how the groups work, how it will be marked, and when it will be handed in. Okay, so the top one here is Javadocs files, and so this is just some HTML documentation, very similar to the ones you'll see for Java itself on the Oracle website, but for the Java classes that I provided that you'll use to start off your project and to implement some of your project. And then I provided NetBeans Starter Project. So the NetBeans Starter Project has a couple of very simple classes, one with a main class that allows you to connect the server to the front end, and you can type in some basic messages and it'll tell you that these have not been implemented yet, for example. And I'll show you again how that works in a minute. To get all this to work, you'll need some additional libraries. Some of them I've written and some of them are third-party libraries. For example, there's a Google JSON file parser that's provided, and I didn't write that, obviously Google did. And these are all in the zip file under jar files. So jar files are the way that libraries in Java are distributed, for example. And what I would recommend is that you download all of these. And so I've created a directory. For me, I've called it OOSD1, or a folder here, and I'm going to download all of that material into there to get started. So I'll right click on here, save link as, and you'll notice I've already got the directory selected, and so I can just save the Javadocs, and I'll do that ones for all the rest of them. That one, and then the jar files, and finally the specification. I mean, you don't technically need to download the specification, you could open it in the browser window, but I like to have them all downloaded. You can reference them at any time. Okay, so if you go back there now, you'll see that I've downloaded those files. So we only need the zip files for just to download the material. So for me on Mac, you just double click on these and this will extract them. You'll notice there's a directory called jars now, same for the Javadocs, and that one's called OOSD1 assignment Javadocs, and then finally the actual Netbeans project. I'll just transfer across so you can see their names. So for example, if I went into the Javadocs, you'll see that there's a bunch of HTML. To open the Javadocs, always starts at index.html, so I'll just double click on that. And that will take me to the Java documentation. You can see that it's open locally on my machine, that's why it's got file at the beginning here. And these are the classes that are provided for you. And you won't need to implement these, obviously, these are things that you'll use. Okay, so for example, if I clicked it on the room, this will have all the documentation about what the room class provides, and so on, and you know, there's all these methods and details like that, and that's documented a bit more in the assignment specification, and we're not going to worry about that for the rest of this video. What we want to do is get up and running with the Netbeans project. I want you to get that running, get the front end connected to it. So there's a couple of things we have to do. So here's the Netbeans project, this one here. The problem is that they have to have these supporting libraries, and they're provided in the jar files here. So what we'll do is we'll start Netbeans just as normal. Takes a little bit to start, remember. And then you'll go to, once Netbeans has started and you're ready to go, just go to File, Open Project, and wherever you stored the project, downloaded it onto your shared drive or your home drive at home, or whatever. You can put it underneath there, and then you'll notice that I'm already in that directory, OOSD1 I called it, and here you can see it's got a little coffee cup which tells us that this is a Netbeans project. So I can click on that and simply open project. And the first thing you'll notice is that on the left hand side here where the project is called Zombie Starter, you'll see that there's two exclamation marks. Okay, these exclamation marks tell us that there's a problem with the project as is. That's okay though, because it's to be expected, and it's to do with that the jar files, the libraries, have not been added yet. It doesn't know where they are. So what we can do is we can right click on the project and go down to properties, and then here on the left hand side there's a bullet called libraries, and you'll notice that this is blank at the moment in the compile time libraries in the middle here. So simply if we go to add jar folder, and then you'll notice that it's already got the jars file. If I went back to OOSD1, you'll see that there's a directory called jars, and I should just be able, so that was what I wanted to do. So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to go add the folders. I'm going to double click on the folder, go inside it, and select each of the jar files individually, but just, you know, as a group with shift, and then you'll see that they've added them to here, and I don't need to have them all selected, but each one of them has been added. And now if I click OK, and you look over on the left hand side to where the exclamation marks are, you'll notice that it does a bit of updating and they've all gone. So that's great. So all of those issues that existed, basically it couldn't find the libraries or the APIs, the classes that were necessary, then have all been resolved now. So I can right click on the project again and go to build, and everything being going, I don't know why hasn't brought an output window up. Okay, so oh yes, so if I click on output, there we go, you'll see that everything is correctly built. There you go, and it says build successfully. Okay, so now we can simply let's get rid of that window. There we go. We can right click on the Zombie Starter project again and do run. There's only one main file, and I'll show that in a second, one class that has a main, and so it automatically picks that one up, and you can see now that it's waiting for connection. Okay, so this tells us that the server is running but it's waiting for the front end or the interface where you'll play the game to connect, excuse me. And you can see here it's waiting on this IP address, which is the address of this machine, and what's called a port number. We won't go into details about what that means, but you can see that's 8085. Okay, so now we have to get the front end ready to connect to it. And to do that, the simplest way is there's a link provided in the assignment specification. So if we go back to the directory where you stored the PDF, I put OOSD1 again, remember, and in there was a, let me just get rid of those ones. From there you can see that if I go down to the introduction, you'll see that the contents, not the introduction, that there is a section 4, which is the actual overview of the game and everything, got the links to the videos, that sort of thing. You'll see that there is a section called 4.3.1 called GUI front end, and if we go to that, page 6, I'll just start down this side here, go here, you'll see that it provides a link along with other details of what's going on. So for example, I could just click directly on this link and it will take me to the front end. Okay, ready to play. This is external, so your machine has to be online to play, because it's just on my university website. And you'll see on this box down here, it gives you a little introduction about what you've got to do, but in particular it gives an IP address. This happens to be the local machine. It's exactly equivalent to the one I showed you in Netbeans, even though it's not the same number. And actually we could copy the number from Netbeans and put it in there and it worked fine. But you also see that it has the port number, which is 8085. So if I press connect, it will actually tell me that I've connected. It says this is the message that gets displayed when the game begins. And obviously this is not the final message. You'd probably have a different message when your game begins. But for now, this is what it brings. And I know that one of the commands, for example, that you'll need to implement is called info. And if I type that, it will tell me that info handle info command. So it just is a message getting back to say that you need to provide an implementation to handle the info command. The actual set of commands that you'll need to implement is provided in the document. It's in Appendix A, which I think is about here. Yep, so if you went to page 9, just at the bottom is Appendix A, it describes the set of commands that you need to implement. So for example, info was the one that we just implemented. Another one is look, and so if we went back and typed in look now, it will say the same handle look command. And to give you an idea about what's actually going on here, you'll see that if we go back to the Netbeans project and look inside the source packages, there's a package called Zombie Starter, and then there's two files, two Java files, so two Java classes, one called Zombie Starter, and I'm going to open this up quickly for now. I'll double click on that, and you can see that this actually has the main class in it. It doesn't do very much, gets the IP address of the local machine, and then it starts the server. And the server you won't need to touch, that's something that I've implemented and provided for you. It's documented in the Javadocs. However, you can see down here that there's a class called ZombieBot that's being created. And if you looked back, if we go back to here, you'll see that one of the other classes provided is called ZombieBot. So ZombieBot is how the game is played. And this is where a lot of the implementation that you do will be implemented. I don't expect it will be the only class. As I said in the lecture, I think I have about 5 or 6 classes, maybe 7 classes, and I imagine that you'll vary between 4 and 7, something like that, 4 and 8, depending on how much you want to break it down. But I do expect you to have more than one class. Okay, and so this is called the ZombieBot, and this implements the interface for playing the game. And so, for example, it has should quit, and when this returns true, then the game is ended. It should return the current store, i.e. the number of things that have been picked up around the game. Every time you pick something up, then the score can be incremented, and things like that. There's other things, all these are documented in the Javadocs about what they're supposed to do. And you can see that there's comments here in the text about what they're supposed to do too. But in particular, there is a method called process command, which takes a string, which is the command that's typed in by the user. For example, when we were playing it back here, it would have been info or look. And if I type in something like that, JJ, you notice that it replies, that's not a verb I recognize. So it's not a command that it recognizes. And if I go down to the bottom here, you'll see the default command, i.e. the ones that it doesn't handle, it says that's not a verb I recognize. So it's the So every time you type in, or the user types in a command in here, it gets passed back to the server, and this function or method, sorry, called process command gets called, and it handles it here. And so obviously you'll need to provide more detailed implementations that actually play the game. So at the moment they're just a stock response saying handle pickup command, and so on. Okay, for now, I think that's it. That should be enough to get going. So I think it's really important that you download all the materials and you go through the process that I've just shown you, loading up the starter project in Netbeans, installing the jar files, and then connecting from the front end, checking that you can build the resulting program, you can run the resulting program, you should see connection. And then once you've done that, you should be able to, so here you'll see, remember, waiting for connection, then it will say connected. And remember, you connect by going to the front end and pressing the connect button, assuming you're doing it on the same machine. Okay, and to stop, you just obviously just press that, and now the program's terminated. Okay, and then you can start again. All right, good luck, and please feel free to contact me anytime, send me emails, come see my office, which is 2Q17. And you can obviously ask questions in the lectures at the end, and also the practicals are a great place to talk to the tutors, myself or Julia, about your progress if you need any help or things that you don't understand. All right, cheers.